the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good morning and welcome to episode 245 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Today, we're going to be talking with Gina. Gina, who you're very aware has been on the podcast before. She's a real estate expert based in Guanacaste, years of experience helping people buy real estate up there, and also basically has just gone out on her own and started her own business. So today, we're going to be talking to her about kind of what's happening in the market, where she thinks the opportunity lies, and also like the beach towns that she thinks are just going to do very, very well over the next coming years. So going to be a very interesting podcast. Appreciate everybody that's kind of reached out to us over the last weeks. I love to hear from you. I had someone reach out today basically about a property that they had in Arenal that they were looking to get a water concession on and how to go about doing that. Also, big shout out to Deborah Gates as well. I think one of our longer term listeners here. Deborah, we actually helped buy an investment property a couple of years ago. I think she's doing very, very well with it in Playa Grande. We actually built her a house. Absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely stunning, Casa Camino. So a big shout out to Deborah there. I know that she's been waiting 240 odd episodes for this shout out. So I think it's about time, Deborah. But thanks very much for all your support, listening to the podcast, Deborah, and also allowing us to be part of your journey here. Remember, guys, if you are looking to do anything in Costa Rica, invest, buy real estate, develop, or just anything, and you just want to kind of get our opinion on stuff, no obligation. You can email us info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. Also, there's a link down below in the description. You can click that link and organize a time to meet with us. But let's get straight into the podcast. Good morning, Gina. How are you doing?
Good morning, Richard. I'm great. Thanks. How are you today?
Good, good. It was actually weird. I was actually flying from Tamarindo this morning. So I was up in your part. Now I'm back here in the city. But yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the beauties of Costa Rica is you can really be anywhere here in 40 minutes.
It's really great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It makes it easy to get around here being a small country.
Yeah, I mean, people sometimes are just like, wow, it is such a small country. But it's like when you start to drive around it, you're like, it's very hilly.
Yes.
And there's nothing straight.
I remember the first time I went to San Jose looking at the map thinking, that's not going to take me 5 hours. That's just silly.
Yep.
And then actually there was an accident that time. So 7 hours later I arrived.
Yeah.
Yep. It's interesting.
Definitely.
But all part of the journey.
That's it. I mean, yes, journey is definitely a word to use here in Costa Rica. So, well, Gina, again, appreciate you taking time to join us on the podcast. The first question No, not at all. The first question I love to ask is just, we're seeing a lot of volatility in Western markets at the moment, especially in North America. And looks like that's probably not going away anytime soon. But I mean, what have you seen the impact of that having on Costa Rica?
We always have the trickle-down effect from North America.
Yep.
And now it's becoming more global. So what I found is in my business that I've had higher price point sales, yet less transactions. So It's the same amount, but it's less transactions. I'm finding it to be more serious people. I have way more serious buyers, savvy buyers now compared to 3 to 5 years ago.
Okay.
So much more serious people. They're coming down to intentionally buy. It's not on a whim. And it's not like 2020 where people are like rushing to escape either.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, we talked to a lot of people on the podcast, and some people are like, no, like we spoke to Sad Elena, who has a relocation company, and she was like, look, post-election, it went absolutely nuts for me. I don't think real estate saw that as much. I think we saw a lot of it from kind of maybe the relocation stuff, but maybe not, I think, what people were expecting, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
But
I don't want to get political.
No,
so I won't. But I think if the tides were turned, we would have had a different market come after the election.
Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. But are you seeing more kind of investment style investors coming down now? Are you seeing, is it still that lifestyle play? Is it still a mix of both? Have you seen much of a change?
I would say it's a mix of both, but the majority of my clients are always all about investment.
Yeah.
Because it usually is a second home, or if it's not a second home, it's, a big leap for them to be investing in a different country. So it's always based on investment, but I'm finding it's people coming here for investment and they have a plan to move full time within the next 3 years or so.
Okay. Do you think, and again, this is a very broad question, so maybe it's dependent on area. Are we in a seller's or a buyer's market?
You know what? Up until now, I was kind of calling it a flat market.
Yep.
Everything that was going on with the stock market, it was really hard to get people to pull the trigger. And then when they did, we had this first quarter of 2025, our market had more going back on the market, because when they did pull the trigger, then the stock market fell
Yeah.
and people just kind of stopped. So it just went flat. Now we're coming back again, and oddly enough, in the low season, we're coming back a little bit stronger than usual, I feel like. And it's turning into more of a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Sellers have become more realistic because buyers have become more savvy, and that the prices of 2022 just aren't flying anymore. So I
Yeah.
feel like, and in my own pricing, I'm trying to price more realistic so things aren't sitting on the market for, a year.
Yeah, and I mean that's got to be difficult for you, like having a conversation with a seller sometimes, where they come with the past 2 or 3 years of history, going, "Look, my place should be worth $1 million," and it's like we can put it there, but it's going to sit there for some time, and we're going to end up having a conversation where we get it down to like 850, or where
Exactly.
potentially it should be.
Exactly. I actually had took a class on how to sell your seller again,
Okay,
because once you sell the house, you have to go back and sell the seller.
correct. Is there
Mhm.
any markets that you're seeing up there in any of your markets that is a seller's market still, where there is still like you just know of like if I have a listing in this area, it's going to move very quickly?
Anything within the Tamarindo or close to the Flamingo Marina,
Yep.
they go quickly. If it's priced correctly, the occupancy rate is so high that it just becomes a no-brainer and it goes pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean,
And
go ahead. Sorry, Gina.
closer to the beach, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, and I think that when people are investing, they need to consider that, those things.
One
Um,
of the interesting things I've found is I've started selling out up by Nuevo Arenal,
yep.
and I have three nice hotels up there for sale. And the clients that I'm getting on those hotels are more people that it is a complete like hybrid of, they want a good investment and they want
Yep.
a big investment that they can improve upon, but they want that area because they want the lifestyle, they want the self-sustainability, um, the weather, just the whole tranquilo lifestyle.
Yeah.
So we are getting a little bit more pickup there than
Well,
we used to.
I'm biased to Arenal, Gina, and I think anyone listening to the podcast knows that just because, again, I love the area. We're heavily investing in it because I'm like, okay, it's,
It is so magical.
oh,
And yes, I've invested there myself too. The place is about to pop. The only thing that's missing right now there is a school.
yeah,
So
that's true.
I'm working with some people to get a school, because I think that would really attract families, where you can get a really nice big plot of land that looks like green velvet
Yep.
and be completely off the grid.
I mean, you can get a view of the volcano. It's like the weather is so great up there because again, you sometimes you get a bit of rain during the day, sometimes that you don't. So if you want to grow anything, it just grows in 2 seconds. Like the difficulty
Right.
with Guanacaste is you have to do your landscaping best based on I need to conserve water. Up there, it's the opposite of like, how am I going to manage the water?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, I think
Different.
yeah,
That's an amazing point right there in itself. How much water in this country affects a market and how different it is.
yep.
And that's only what, 2 hours from the beach.
Well, and also it's just from a demand, from a tourism point of view. I mean, anyone that wants a vacation rental up there, it'll do very well just because, again, you have like, the hotels occupancy and average daily rates are better in Arenal than they are at the beach. And I always say to
For
people,
sure.
and they're like, why is that? And I'm like, if you're going to the beach in Costa Rica, what are your options? Like, there is a lot of beaches in Costa Rica. If you're
Hmm.
going to the volcano with hot springs and like the lake, what are your options? You've got one, Arenal,
Very few.
you
Yeah.
know. So, and yeah, I mean, the hotels are at
It's
7.
just an untapped market right now, and it's
I
so
agree.
beautiful.
I agree. How can, I mean, this is a question, a lot of people at the moment are like, hey, like, where is the market going to bottom out in Costa Rica? How do I gauge when I invest and when I don't? And my advice is this to people. I'm like, look, you can't time markets. You don't do it when you invest in shares. So don't do it when you invest in real estate. You invest, if you're going to invest based on potentially what the cash flow is going to be. And you're going to hold it for a longer period of time. So if you can create that cash flow, it probably adds value to your asset as well.
Absolutely.
You
I
know,
agree.
But like, how does, when you get that question of like, when is the right time to buy? I mean, what is your response normally to that?
Kind of what you said. I mean, you can't say the right time to buy. You can't
Yep.
predict it. But I do feel like right now it's gone from that flat market to a buyer's market because of the fact that the sellers kind of did get hit like, whoa, nothing moved.
Yep.
We do need to get, and then as the buyers got more savvy, I feel like we're finally getting to a point
Yeah.
of prices are more realistic,
What is an
especially the people who had bought just 3, 4 years ago at the high, expecting it to continue to grow like that. And then they put it up for sale since we don't have an established MLS, let's
Yep.
call it,
Yep.
that will knock things out of the park with the market. Then other sellers try to follow that and nothing moves. And that's kind of what has started to happen, bringing prices back to normal place and getting things rolling again.
Which is, again, as you said, it's just kind of nice that we're getting back to a reality where things do start to move, because when they're like, stank out, when they stop, like it's not good for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct.
But I mean, what do you think are the best areas for people looking to buy, say, a second home that they also want to rent as well? I mean, I think that you've mentioned it here, some of the key areas around the Flamingo Marina, Tamarindo. But I mean, if you have a client that comes and is like, look, I really don't know. I've been to Costa Rica 1 or 2 times. I really don't know. I'm looking for a second home, that I could potentially rent. I mean, where would you suggest that they probably look for that?
Well, I live and sell in the Flamingo Tamarindo area.
Yep.
And part of the reason is because that is the best place. Tamarindo is the most heavily marketed tourism place in the country. I
Yep.
would say the Jaco and Quepos would be the second. But between Tamarindo and down there, all along the coast, you really can't go wrong. I feel like the Central Pacific and Osa Peninsula is really picking up in momentum over the past few years, and especially right now. So I find that to be a great place to invest as the northwestern section gets a little bit more saturated.
Yep.
That's still more virgin and a great place to start investing.
I mean, somebody asked me today, hey, Rich, what do you think about Playa Junquial? And they're like, look, I just want a solid investment where everything is safe. And I also want to cash flow and make, a couple of percent per year. And I was like, dude, I don't know in Junquial whether and I'm just using Junquial as like an area. I mean, that could be that whole stretch that goes down.
That whole stretch and the whole stretch. And exactly. That's going to be a long time before you make your money. And then you're going to make your money when they get a road.
Correct.
When roads get paved is when everything goes up. And so where I think over there in that area, Avianas is popping.
I agree.
It is beautiful. And that's just going to go crazy when all their roads are paved.
Yeah. I was in Avianas actually.
Which will then kind of keep spreading.
Yeah, it moves south to Playa Negra, but like there's still a long way to go. If it makes sense. Like
there's a long way to go, and it takes a long time to do things in Costa Rica. So that surely would be a long-term investment.
Yeah, I mean, but I think anyone that's like, look, if you were wanted to make like a 15, 20-year punt, I mean, I would be like, go for it because it'll get there. But like, I think Avianas over the next 5 to 10 years would probably be a safer investment.
I agree. I also think along the Monkey Trail coming in Potrero is a really good 10-year investment because they're rerouting all the traffic through there. There's so much land for sale there right now. So, but like we were talking before, water.
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, Avianas has the the Asada of Paraiso, which kind of has good water that comes to it, and so I mean, I think Avianas is going to be like, I think
it's like a diamond in the rough. It's a gem.
It reminds me of Grande a long time ago, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And look where we're at with Grande now, which is small bits of land selling for $400,000. And it's pretty crazy. But it's probably not long into Avianas is there. And I mean, there's restaurants and like things are moving over there. Like it feels busy.
Right. So kind of like Flamingo Grande areas on the other side of Tamarindo. I feel like that opposite side is going to grow even more.
Yeah, and it's still, I mean, I think the advantage that Javianas has is it's still somewhat raw, good surf, just good general surf for people as well.
The surf, yeah.
And has good restaurants. Like it has good infrastructure. I mean, I think the thing that Grande is suffering from is there's no like higher end hotel. There's no like new restaurants kind of coming online. It's like what's there is there, if that makes sense.
Yes. Their community hasn't grown with the population.
Correct. So correct.
So there's another untapped potential for growth is opening a good business, a restaurant or something in Playa Grande.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I think it's there. It's just a question of water. Like, can you get the water letter in order to be able to do what it is that you want to do? Because typically they're not giving commercial water letters out.
Right. And the water is difficult for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I'm very familiar with the Asada of Grande just because we've got a bunch of developments down there, and they're not giving out new water letters. They're not getting the water that they need that were promised from the AEA in the area. So it's complicated.
It makes it tricky. The we have it, it's everywhere on the beach.
Yep.
Water is gold here. When I
Correct.
first started real estate, someone told me, you practice real estate in Chicago, it was location, location, location. Here it's water, security, view.
Correct. Yeah.
And that was so spot on.
Yeah, definitely. And that continues today. I mean, look, you can have a great location, but if you've got no water, you're not building anything. I mean, you've got
Right.
cattle land.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that was advice to me 15 years ago.
And then I don't think it'll change.
Still stands today. I don't think it'll change either. So water is really important.
I always try and educate people on like how asadas form with communities, and they're overseen by the AIA, but they're not done by it. And like water is somewhat affordable here, and asadas don't have the money in order to put the required infrastructure in place for development. So a lot of the time you have to wait for private, developers to come in and put that infrastructure in place.
Which I wish the government would kind of step up so that like when you do build a new house, you're paying a water fee. You're paying a fee.
Correct.
The same with our nature. You're replanting a tree somewhere for however many you take down. You're putting up a monkey bridge for whatever electricity wire we're moving into somebody else's home, and it's nature's home, that we need to make sure that we respect that a little bit more.
I'm in complete agreement with you, Gina. I mean, we've had people before that are like, look, we can take all those trees down. And I'm like, no.
No. So I'm actually, now that I've gone out on my own, I'm researching a couple different places in Costa Rica that do have reforestation projects and stuff, and want to offer that to my clients that, that's a small amount of money for us. And if you look at how many trees have been erased in the past 20 years here, it's our duty to pay back to the earth.
Yeah, I mean, so I bought 4 hectares of like farmland, if that makes sense. So everything was cut down on it. And our thing is, we're building 6 villas on it, but very small footprints. But I want to rewild everything else on it, like bring back the forest, because it brings back all the wildlife as well. Which is what people staying in these villas are going to want to see as well.
The wildlife, the air quality, everything.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Also, just like from a sustainability point of view of like, if you get shade on your house, like you don't need as much heating.
Exactly.
Yeah, like cooling, sorry.
It's cooling. And if you build your house correctly and position it correctly on the lot, you can have your solar panels doing everything and the rest of your house shaded, and it works great.
So we mentioned here, Avianis, we've mentioned here Arenal. Are there any other areas that you think in Guanacaste that investors should probably pay attention to, or at least visit if they're interested?
The Central Pacific.
Yeah?
Yes. I really think that area is popping. It's so beautiful. Manuel Antonio, the parks, even if you're just going to visit. So since I've been here, it really has, for me, been more of a place to visit. But now that I go down there and I see all the building and the communities going on, there's so many more people that it's becoming more populated. Yeah. And that's a place that I would look at.
And just to be clear to listeners, this is not a paid anything, just because, again, you're saying Arenal and Manuel Antonio, which is heavily where I'm invested. So it sounds like...
Oh, sorry.
No.
I guess we're on the same page, because I didn't know that.
No, it's a complete coincidence. But, I mean, it's just, I think when you've been here in Costa Rica for a while, we have this view of this landscape of like, look, this is where it's all happening. Like, where it's happening, and we've been here long enough, I think, between us, that we're like, okay, like this is kind of done now. These are the areas that are kind of developing, and this is kind of like the next up and coming areas, if that makes sense.
Well, and I also, like I said, the buyers are becoming more savvy, but actually our data is becoming more readily available.
Yep.
So I had somebody who's doing beta test, and he did a beta test of an appraisal on my house, which is difficult to do because we don't declare value. And wow, he was spot on.
Yep.
So I think a lot of the data, and there's this L Financiero.
Yep.
So you follow that, and when you collect all that data together, it's pretty obvious as to what's happening in the country.
Yeah. It's just
and it's really interesting because we are such a small country that we're able to study it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I wish there was more data available, because I have to bring it from multiple sources together. But unfortunately, that's the beauty of Costa Rica. I mean, it would be overdeveloped if it was easy here. Unfortunately,
yes, it would.
So I'm very happy sometimes that it's that it is a little bit more complicated because I call it a natural filter.
I agree, 100%.
So, okay, my last question for you, Gina, as I've kept you long enough, which is the question I love to ask anyone. If you inherited $500,000 and you had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in, where, and why?
I would invest it in, so I started my retirement fund a little bit late in life.
Yep.
I would invest it in passive income properties.
Yep.
So pretty much because I like to invest. Because I've been a realtor my whole life, I like investing in something that's tangible, something I can touch.
Yeah.
So I would invest, and I am investing in walk to the beach. So those are short, like 10-year investments. And then I have land investments in Nuevo Arno.
Okay.
Because those are farther out. And I'd be really happy to have a beach house and a mountain house.
I think we all would, right?
Right. And I think my kids will be pretty happy with the purchase in Arno.
I'm sure they will.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any particular location that you would personally, again, if you had to invest that 500,000, you said walk to beach. I mean, would you be doing that in Potrero? Would you be doing that in Tamarindo? Would you be doing it in Flamingo, Coco?
I would probably do that in Flamingo. If I wanted to split that 500,000 up, I would do it in Coco.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coco takes a little bit longer to go up in value, but if they really get their marina that they're supposed to, Coco's a great place to invest right now. You have all the signature developments going up around it, and Coco's a great place to invest only a half hour from the airport.
Yeah, I mean, look, we had an 8-bedroom villa up in Coco, and people thought we were nuts building it, but it was like it's 25 minutes from the airport, guys. Like it's really quick. Like it's the closest beach, and it still feels a little bit. I
often get the request of I want to come and I want to go directly to my house without being on a dirt road.
Yep.
Coco's your spot.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Gina, this has been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the podcast as well. Congratulations again on having your own company. Anyone that wants to get in contact with Gina, I'll put all of your contact details in the description, but very much appreciate you joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Richard. It was really nice to see you.
You too.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed that podcast there with Gina, guys. Again, she's been up in Guanacaste for a very long time. Also spends a lot of time in the Arenal area as well. And I promise that it was not paid or I did not set this up beforehand to talk Arenal and Manuel Antonio. But I definitely agree with her on Avianas, guys. I think Avianas has huge potential going forwards. I was actually there yesterday, and it's just stunning kind of what's happening over there. So I think anyone that wants to make a 5-10 year play, I think Avianas is definitely a great location. It's kind of cool. Reminds me again of Playa Grande as it was 5-10 years ago. So yeah. But again, anyone that's looking to invest in Costa Rica, please feel free to reach out to us. Just have a conversation with us so we can educate you a little bit more. It's there's a saying here in Costa Rica of like, it's a sunny place for shady people. There's not much recourse here. There are tons of like horror stories. So please just chat with us so we can kind of guide you on the best way to do certain things. Well, maybe we can help you. But you can email us info@investingcostarica.com, investingcostarica.com, or down in the description down below, guys, is all of our contact details there. If you're enjoying the podcast, guys, I please subscribe, give us a thumbs up and a thank you. Again, a lot of effort goes into these, and also just allows us to kind of feed our ego that we're actually doing something great out there as well, because we don't get huge amounts of interaction with you guys that are out there listening to this. So just appreciate any kind of feedback that you give us, and that again can be a thumbs up, 5 stars, or a 1 star if you don't like the podcast. Again, we prefer 5, but it is what it is, I suppose. But anyway, again, if you've enjoyed the podcast, thanks very much, guys. Give us a review, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.